All right, looks like we've got quorum and people have stopped joining the meeting here. All right, I'm calling this meeting to order at 4:33 p.m. As always, we will start with a territorial acknowledgement. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the SFSS is located on the unceded territories, on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we're currently situated on occupied territory. Now going to move on to our roll call of attendance, starting with myself. My name is Zaid Lari. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my accessibility needs are met. Archaeology.
Hi, I'm Clara. My pronouns are she, hers. My disability needs are currently met. I may have to step away for a quick moment sometime in the meeting to take a call for a medical appointment. If I do, I'll try to vote in the chat. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Bachelor of Environment.
Hi, my name is Bradley Sarandi. Pronouns are he, him, and his, and my accessibility needs have been met.
Thank you. BNSS.
Hi, my name is Arthi Srinivasan, and my pronouns are she and her, and all my accessibility needs have been met.
Biology.
Hello, my name is Nick B. My pronouns are he, him, his, and all my accessibility needs have been met.
Thank you. Just to confirm for everyone, subtitles are showing. I believe I turned it. All right, perfect. BPK.
Hi, I'm Josh Sham. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my access needs are met.
Business. Is the business rep present? Chemistry.
Hi, my name is Wen. Pronouns are she or hers, and all my accessibility needs have been met.
Thank you. Computer science. See computer science rep present. Criminology.
Hi, my name is Charlotte. Pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs are met.
Data science. See DSSU present. Earth science.
Hi, I'm Alex. My pronouns are they, them, and my access needs have been met.
Thank you. Economics.
Hi, my name is Sandra. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs have been met.
Education.
Yeah, Adrian, pronouns are she, her, and all my accessibility needs are met. I just may have to be utilizing the chat when my classroom is being vacuumed.
All right, thank you. Engineering.
Hi, my name is Alvin. He, him, his. All my needs are met.
English.
Hi, my name is Liz. My pronouns are she, they, and all of my access needs are met.
Environmental science.
Hi, my name is Chloe. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs have been met.
Thank you. French.
Hi, my name is Kylie. Pronouns she, her, hers, and all of my accessibility needs have been met.
GSWS sincere regrets. Geography.
Hi, my name is Winnie. My pronouns is she, her, hers, and my access needs are met.
History.
Hello, my name is Alan. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my accessibility needs are met.
Humanities.
Hi, my name is Sarah. Pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my needs are met. Thank you.
ISSU. See Indigenous Studies Student Union representative present. Looks like she just joined. I don't see her mic on though. Stephanie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Stephanie, pronoun she, her. I'm the representative for the ISSU, and all my accessibility needs are met.
Perfect, thank you. Interactive Arts and Technology.
Hello, my name is Jeremy. Pronouns he, him, and they, them, and all my accessibility needs have been met. Thank you.
Thank you. International Studies.
Hello, everyone. My name is Olia. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all of my access needs have been met.
Thank you. Labor Studies.
Hello, my name is Justin. He, him, his, and all my accessibility needs are met.
Linguistics.
Hi, my name is Bree. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs have been met.
Mathematics.
Hi, my name is Nosa. He, him, his. My accessibility needs are met.
Mechatronics.
Hi, my name is Kimia. My she, hers, and my access needs are met.
MBBSU.
Hi, my name is Kyle. Go by he, him, and all my needs are met.
Orsu.
Hi, my name is Ash. Pronouns are he, him, his, and all my accessibility needs have been met.
Philosophy.
Hi, my name is Tony. He, him, his. All my access needs are met.
Physics. See physics rep present. PSSU.
Hi, everyone. My name is Helen. My pronouns are she, her, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
Psychology.
Hi, my name is Tiffany. My pronouns are she, them, and I am just having issues with my Wi-Fi today. Otherwise, that's everything. Thank you.
Society of Arts and Social Sciences.
Hi, my name is Akram. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs have been met.
Sociology and Anthropology. The sociology rep present.
Hi, I am Kayla. She, her, her pronouns, and all my access needs have been met. Thank you.
Thank you. Statistics or software systems first.
Hi, my name is Mahek. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs are met.
Statistics.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and all my access needs are met.
Sustainable Energy Engineering Student Society.
Hi, my name is Maven. She, her, and all my needs are met.
World Literature.
Hello, my name is Sarah. Pronouns she, her, hers, and all my accessibility needs are met. Thank you.
Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance.
Hey everyone, my name is Serena. My pronouns are she, they for accessibility needs. My internet is not great today. And I'm also in another meeting for the first 30 minutes of this meeting as well. Thank you.
FNSA. Is the FNSA rep present? Student Athlete Advisory Committee.
Hi there, my name is Ryan. My access needs are met. My pronouns are he and his.
SOCA.
Hi, my name is Juanita. My pronouns are she, her, hers. All my accessibility needs are met. Thank you.
Women's Center Collective. See Women's Center Collective rep present. Moving on to our board of directors, starting with our president.
Hi, everyone. My name is Asta. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and all my access needs are met. Thank you.
VP External.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samat Raza. Pronouns are he, him, his, and accessibility needs are met.
VP Finance.
Hi, my name is Corbett. Pronouns are he, him, his. Access needs. I don't have my camera with me today. Thank you.
VP Student Services.
Okay, Dom exists to go, everybody. It's Matt. My pronouns are he, him, his. My accessibility needs are met.
VP Student Life.
Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer, she, her pronouns, and I'm just on my PC and my laptop at the same time. So there's like two of me here.
VP University Relations.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabe. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my access needs are met.
I think are either of our at-large representatives present?
Hello, my name is Poom. Pronouns are he, him, his. Access needs are met.
Faculty of Science.
Hey everyone, my name is Wei Chen. Pronouns are he, him, his. Science rep. My access needs are met.
Believe that's everyone from the board. Just moving on to our society staff here. Our operations organizer.
Hi everyone, my name is Aisha. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. All my access needs are met.
Thank you. Our board organizer.
Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and all my accessibility needs are met. Just gonna have to step out for 10-15 minutes around 5:30.
Thank you. And our administrative assistant.
Hi everyone, I'm Joseph. Pronouns he, him, and all my access needs are met.
Thank you. All right, we're now moving on to item 4.1. Be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. Would anyone like to move this motion?
MBBSU moves.
MBBSU moves. Would anyone like to second?
Engineering
BESU seconds.
Engineering seconds. All right. I'm going to move to amend the agenda to add a section including regrets, a ratification of regrets. The motion will read, be it resolved to ratify regrets from Devin Butterworth. Would anyone like to second this amendment?
MBBSU seconds.
MBBSU seconds. Is there any discussion on this amendment? All right, seeing none, I will seek unanimous consent. Seeking unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please object now. Seeing no opposition, this amendment passes. We're back to the main motion again. Be it resolved to adopt the agenda as amended. And I'm going to move to amend the agenda to include a discussion item titled Council Orientation Survey. Would anyone like to second this amendment?
MBBSU seconds.
MBBSU seconds. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Serena, is this a list for this amendment here?
Sorry, not for this one, but just for discussion of the agenda in general.
All right. Seeing no discussion, we'll move to vote via unanimous consent. Once again, seek unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please unmute yourself now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries, or this amendment carries unanimously. Back to the main motion once again. Be it resolved to adopt the agenda as amended. Serena.
I just wanted to move to amend the agenda to include a motion titled SFSS statement in solidarity against anti-Asian racism.
Would anyone like to second this amendment? History seconds. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Seeing no discussion, we'll move to vote by unanimous consent. Seeking unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please object now. Seeing no objections, this amendment carries. Just a quick question, Serena. Could you post the content of that motion in the chat here for everyone? I can't seem to find it in our email to them. I think it was in one of the replies here, but I think it'd be helpful for everyone to be able to see it there.
Sure.
All right. Okay, I believe that's it for adoption of the agenda then. We're going to just go to vote on this in general. So the motion reads, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as amended. Seeking unanimous consent once again. If you'd like to dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion has been carried as amended. We're now on to the next item, which I added, titled Regrets, Ratification of Regrets. The motion reads, be it resolved to ratify regrets from Devin Butterworth. Would anyone like to move this motion?
MBBSU moves.
MBBSU moves. Would anyone like to second?
Economic seconds.
Economic seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll move to vote. Seeking unanimous consent once again. If you'd like to dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion passes unanimously. Now on to item 5, matters arising from the minutes. 5.1, be it resolved to receive and file the following minutes. Council 2021, March 17th. Would anyone like to move this motion?
MBBSU moves.
MBBSU moves. Would anyone like to second this motion?
WLSU seconds.
World Literature seconds. Is there any discussion? Don't think so. Once again, seeking unanimous consent. Seeking unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please object now. Seeing no objections, this motion passes unanimously. We are now on to item 6.1, Council Liaison. Ryan or Kayla? Kayla, would you like to deliver your report? I think she might be having issues here. We will move then on to the board liaison. Jennifer, you have the floor.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to link the report in the chat. I highly recommend opening it. I'm very proud of some of the memes I put there this time. I'm only going to go over the highlights and the things that specifically are relevant to council and student groups in the interest of time, but you can read all the details in the report itself. But first, we established an emergency COVID-19 funding working group and passed a motion to have an honorarium for it. We're aiming to have 7 members in this working group, and since they'll be working for 20 hours at the living wage, $19.50 an hour, it'll be $2,730. And this working group, they basically just be like developing the rubric, developing the application for the COVID-19 bursary, talking about how to run the communications campaign and get every student to know about it. And all of this will be done with SFSS staff support. Something else that we did at this meeting is we updated our finance policy, the health and dental plan, to include psychoeducational assessments, which identify learning and or developmental disabilities, and they usually are pretty expensive, but this would basically cover 80% of it. And the policy year is retroactive. So if you had a psychoeducational assessment done like from January to August, you can submit claims. And you do not need to be registered with the Center for Accessible Learning for this. There was also a discussion about student union and constituency group core carryover. This year, the core funds weren't used a lot because of the pandemic, so we were looking at the possibility of carrying over core funding from this year to the next board year or fiscal year. And then we also discussed check requisition, because sometimes people get busy and then they don't submit check requisitions, or like the submission is delayed. Right now, I think it's like semester based, but we discussed having it be like within the fiscal year instead, so that you have more time to submit these check requisitions. And somebody talked about accessibility, because some people might not be able to submit check requisitions by a specific time period for a variety of reasons. So that's another consideration why you might extend it to like within the fiscal year. And that's all for my report.
Perfect. Thank you, Jennifer. We're now going to move on to item 7, reports from board executive directors, starting with 7.1, president.
Thank you, everyone. I know that there's a lot of important things on this meeting agenda, so I will try to keep my points quick, but I did want to give an update on some of the major things that I've been working on. One of which is one that I know you guys have all been hearing about quite a lot, is with regard to the Burnaby Mountain Gondola project. So Gabe, our VP University Relations, and I have been attending a number of dialogue sessions with folks who are living in neighborhoods such as Forest Grove and living in housing co-ops in the area who have historically been opposed to the project. And I really do think some of these dialogues have been helpful in sort of like getting a better understanding of where they're coming from and the issues they have with the project. And I also had the opportunity to speak at the most recent Burnaby City Council meeting that was on Monday. You can check that on the live stream, and I think we also have a recording that we'll try to post, but a lot of it was generally discussing, you know, things that we've gathered through our consultation with students, like at our open house last year, and also through some of the engagement campaigns we've been running online and the videos that we received from you folks. So the timeline keeps moving, and the reason that the timeline keeps moving is because Burnaby City Council keeps actually postponing the meeting. So we still don't know when they're going to actually have a formal vote on it, but we're really trying to keep our ear on the ground, because we do want to make sure we have, like, you know, the bulk of our campaign happen leading up to that meeting to make sure that students are able to get their voices out. So I will make sure to ping you folks as soon as I kind of get like a confirmed date, and would love some help in outreach to your constituencies. Another big thing that's been going on is that the board is currently still bargaining our collective agreement with CUPE 3338, which is the union that represents our unionized employees. For the board members, myself, Matt, our student services, and Corbett, VP Finance, are sitting on that bargaining committee along with Aisha, our operations organizer. That has been ongoing, and I don't really have a lot that I can share with you right now, but we will make sure to update you folks once that is done. Another important piece is that there are a number of ongoing hires that I am participating in, including looking at, well, another update is that our campaigns policy and research coordinator, Sarah, has moved on from the organization, and we did give her a very tearful goodbye at our last board meeting. But we are looking into, you know, looking into rehiring for the position, and potentially expanding the office to expand our campaigns mobilizing capacity. And another hiring committee that I'm excited to be on is the Black Student Support Coordinator, and that one will be launching soon. And one of the ongoing ones is the Student Advocacy Office, which is a project that I'm very excited to have finished. I also am sitting as the SFSS representative on the Vice President People, Equity and Inclusion Search Committee. With this one, we are now just reviewing the candidate profile at our next meeting, and I want to say thank you to all the counselors who helped us in kind of getting some messaging out about making that position more student-facing, as it was very much an HR-focused role. And as soon as I'm able to give an update on that, I absolutely will. A couple of other kind of ongoing pieces include the Student Affordability Working Group. Something kind of cool that I'm looking into hopefully implementing is getting the SFSS signed up for Quest Food Exchange, which would actually help students to be able to get groceries and other foods from different locations at a more affordable price. And this just means that we need to have a partnership with them. So as soon as we set that up, that's something that we can advertise to our members, which I think will be quite nice. And we used to be members, but haven't been for some time. What else? And yeah, one of the big things, I know that Gabe is not giving a report today, so I'll kind of share it, but in light of SFU and the BC government's announcement that they anticipate post-secondary institutions will be back in operations in September, there are a lot of questions up in the air, and we definitely want to make sure that we are asking all the right questions and clarifying how students will be returning back to campus and doing our best to make sure it happens in a safe manner. Because we obviously do not want our members and students to be put at risk if the campus opens prematurely or without proper safety precautions in place. So right now it's more fact gathering than anything and trying to figure out what the university's plans are, as those haven't been fully communicated. But that also plays into the student union building. And so we have been working diligently pretty much all year to think about what safety plans will look like, how we'll be able to get things going, because I know this building has been long awaited and we want to have folks in there as soon as it's safe to do so. We don't want to make students wait any longer. So those are some of the big pieces. And of course, if anybody has any questions or anything that they're interested in learning a little bit more about, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. And thanks.
Thank you, Asab. Thank you for that thorough report there. A lot of items. We're going to move on to 7.2 here now, VP Finance.
Hi, everyone. So I've been working on 3 or 4 main items the last month. Continuing with budget development, we have a 3rd draft done, and it was presented to the Finance and Administrative Service Committee on Tuesday. And we did some initial review. There will be some more changes to at least 4th draft. And so for that, I am also with ASAB with collective bargaining. And so my role has been often with the analyzing monetary aspects of any of the bargaining. And it's been quite for me, quite fun, and also quite a bit of work, because I did multi-year model for financial changes, which was a big challenge. I've also been working on the participatory budgeting pilot project with staff members in our working group, and we are about 3/4 of the way through, and with the goal of probably having the official launch of the opportunity for students to vote on what projects they would like to see funded by 2nd week of April. And then finally, I've also been working with the board organizer, Gabriel, as well as administrative assistants on the board management tool search, the review. And we have met and will be forming a recommendation to give to board pretty soon. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Corbett. VP External.
Hello, everyone. So for past 2 weeks, I've been working on this lobby days. So we had quite many meetings with different MLAs and MPs from NDP, Green, Liberals, and also Conservatives. So we have been talking about many topics, advocating against the TMX, 2% cap on international tuition fees, increasing operating grants for students, and eliminating interest from federal portion of student loans. And also we have been touching base on immigration issues faced by international students due to there has been quite many development which international students are facing after graduation, and also applying for their work permits and also for their study permits. So we are advocating for that to ease the restriction and also lower barriers to help them with their journey in Canada. So we are collaborating with the Migrant Student Union now to develop another document on this issue, and then we'll be contacting more MLAs and MPs later next month. But for now, we are just finishing off our lobby days. So this marks the last week. There are a few meetings left next week, and then we are officially done with lobby. Thank you.
Thank you, Samad. VP Student Services.
Hello. Are you able to hear me okay? Good?
Yep.
Perfect. So there's a couple things that I have been working on. So the first one that has been pretty exciting for myself was the co-curricular record for our at-large members on committees. That's something that I've been doing the last couple of weeks to try to get recognition for folks who are on our committees. So if you are, make sure that you check in with the committee chair to receive the survey link, and then you can get that recognized on your co-curricular record. Another thing that I've also been working on has been the digital services revamp and digital campaign. So what this is just kind of organizing some online material on our social media to get out to membership to remind them about the services that we have and changes that have been made. For example, our current health and dental plan does retroactive payments for the fall for anything related to like COVID-19. So for travel, if you had to pay for like COVID tests or things like that, you can access that. And then along with this project, just kind of updating, I've been doing some research on some services that are already available from different organizations or nonprofits, whether that is under the categories of food security, housing support, or mental health support. So hopefully we can get this reorganized before the end of my term to get this on the current SFSS website so students have those resources accessible. Another thing that I'm super excited about has been the Student Mental Wellness Working Group. So we had our first meeting last week. And pretty much this is just a space to prioritize discussing what kind of supports that SFSS can allocate and prioritize for student mental wellness. The cool thing about this working group is that there's designated seats for health and counseling. So we're working with Martin, the ED, the Executive Director of Health and Counseling, and also a few other folks who will be invited to kind of prioritize and see how better health and counseling services can support students, but also ensuring that, you know, with us within the SFSS, how we can better make those resources available and kind of have our input there. A couple updates, I've been attending stuff for like the First People's Gathering House and working with FNSA. There was a town hall today that I attended and just kind of getting updates around kind of just happening after like the Let Us Speak campaign. There's a big win to get these town halls for Indigenous students, also community members, which is pretty awesome. Another thing that I'll be working on was drafting some issues policies for indigenization and reconciliation. So I've been attending FNSA meetings and also doing my best to attend ISSU meetings. They happen weekly to discuss this with community and making sure that I'm doing proper consultation. And then also just kind of what Asa brought up, just busy with the bargaining committee. And yeah, so that's what I have been working on.
Thank you. All right, perfect. We're now going to move on to the motion that was amended onto the agenda by Serena, the SFSS statement in solidarity against anti-Asian racism. Where's the motion here? I'm just going to read it out of the email. All right, so the motion reads, whereas reported anti-Asian hate crimes have increased by 717% in the last year in Vancouver, whereas the March 16th, 2021 Atlanta spa shooting comes amidst this rise in anti-Asian hate crimes, whereas the board released a statement titled SFSS in Solidarity Against Anti-Asian Racism on March 19th, 2021 in response to the Atlanta spa shooting. Be it resolved that the SFSS Council supports the board's statement. Be it further resolved that councilors that vote in favor of this motion commit to sharing the statement and its included resources to their respective DSUs/constituency groups. Would anyone like to move this motion?
MBBSU moves.
MBBSU moves. Would anyone like to second?
History seconds.
History seconds. Floor is now open for discussion. Serena, you may speak first as you did submit this item.
For sure. So Devin had brought up this in the Discord about whether we should support or release our own statement after the board released their statement after the Atlanta spa shooting. So we worked on this motion together kind of as a first step just to signify our support and then kind of create space for counselors, for Asian counselors to speak about their ideas on the topic and to prioritize their voices about whether they'd prefer if we should release our own statement, if we should plan to donate funds to certain organizations that support like anti-Asian racism efforts. So just kind of creating that foundation so we have this to go back to, saying that we support and stand in solidarity against anti-Asian racism. Hopefully that was clear. Sorry, I'm still in this other meeting. But yeah, just to create that foundation like we have with supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, to have this in case we want to donate or do any further motions in the future.
Thank you, Serena. Would anyone else like to speak on this motion? Please list yourself in the chat. Just on that note regarding donation amounts, would like to point out that we do have some remaining funds. This is actually one of our discussion items here, but we do have some remaining funds that we should decide how we want to allocate before the end of the fiscal year. But yeah, if anyone else would like to speak on this, please do list yourself in the chat. Ms. Wei-Chun?
Yeah, just gonna bring attention to the link just posted in the chat. It's tomorrow. There's a group counseling session for Asian folks who would like to attend. And yeah, just it's a really hard time for the Asian community, and we know that even our own students at SFU has been affected. Even so, this is a really sensitive issue, and I want to see this. I'm glad to see this at council. But also, yeah, I just want to bring attention to the group counseling session, and people are affected by the recent rise in anti-Asian racism. Please sign up for it. There'll be a space for Asian folks to talk about it.
Thank you, Wei-Chun. If there's anyone else here who would like to speak on this motion, please do list yourself before we do move into voting. Oh man, my computer is glitching out here. There, my mouse isn't working. All right, seeing no further discussion, we're going to move into voting procedures on this matter. I'm going to seek unanimous consent for this motion. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of obvious that we'd all want to show our support for the Asian community right now, especially during these dark times. So yes, I will be seeking unanimous consent. So seeking unanimous consent on this motion. If you'd like to dissent, please object now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries unanimously. I will put in action items in the Discord for our counselors here regarding sharing this the statement here and the included resources with our DSUs and with your DSU membership. All right, we're now moving on to item 8, discussion items. I'm going to move that we suspend the rules, and I'd like to suspend the rules and move to consider item 8.4 budget proposal out of order. Would anyone like to second this motion here?
Engineering seconds.
Engineering seconds. All right, there's no discussion on this item. I basically just want to consider the budget proposal ahead of other discussion items, just because I know there's going to be a lot of opinions on this, and I'd like us to have enough time to speak on it. So I'm going to seek unanimous consent. This does take a 2/3 majority, but if you do want us to consider things in order, then you can just object and we'll go into normal voting procedures. So once again, seeking unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please object now. All right, seeing no objections, this passes unanimously. So we're going to consider 8.4, the budget proposal. We did have that presentation from Corbett at our last meeting. For those of you that were there, I'm going to drop the link for the proposal in the chat here. Let me just find that in my downloads. Hopefully you've all had a look at it. If you didn't, before our last meeting, you have by now. We did have a meeting on this yesterday. As you guys know, we organized this in the group chat just to have an informal meeting to address some questions here. But yeah, I think Kyle submitted this item here, so he will have the floor first. Anyone who would like to speak on this, whether it is stating your support on any of these models or asking any questions for clarification, please do list yourselves in the chat. But Kyle, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Zaid. So as it was 2 weeks ago, and we do have some more members, I would actually like to invite Corbett just to give a brief one sentence outline, sort of explaining why this budget proposal is actually coming forth, just to give everyone the same idea of what exactly this is about and what we are trying to discuss, if that's possible.
Corbett, would you like to do that, or I can give a brief summary of the report as well?
I'm happy to. I'm the author of it, so yeah. Sorry, thank you. So, a summary would be that because we've had a number of governance and administrative changes this year that have freed up areas within our budget, as well as changed our governance structure to allow for the council and the executive to merge together and form a new board of directors. This will result in more work for both executives and counselors, as well as not just work, but also the increased responsibility for council members. Now there'll be a full board of members of the board of directors with the legal liabilities that comes with that, and legal responsibilities. And looking at our history, the SFSS has not increased their stipend amounts for board of directors since 2008, and doing a rough calculation based on numbers on the current stipend of $21,500 for executives and half that for at-larges and faculty reps. That worked out to be, and using the numbers set in policy, that works out to be about $14.50 an hour, which is below BC minimum wage. So I pitched an idea of taking this opportunity with this new governance model and new financial opportunities to increase the stipends to that of a living wage, and for everybody. And the only difference in amounts per person is based on expected hours of work. So the proposal goes into more detail on that and breaks down the costs. And I'm happy to answer questions or just listen to the discussion.
Thank you, Corbett. All right, just before I do open the floor again for everyone to speak, since I do expect there to be quite a bit of discussion on this, I will be enforcing our 2-minute speaking time for both discussion and, if someone may have direct replies, just to make sure that we get a wide variety of people speaking, and it's not oh man, my computer keeps glitching out. Sorry, guys. Yeah, just so that we get a wide variety of people speaking here. But with that being said, if you would like to speak on this item, please do list yourself. I spoke a lot on this yesterday, and I will be speaking on it again. However, I'd like to give the opportunity for other counselors to ask any questions or make any statements here. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, my computer is really glitching out here, so that's why I'm disappearing randomly, but hopefully my mic is working. I really got to get this fixed. All right, Kyle, you have the floor.
Thanks, Aid. So I'd just like to start out by breaking down. There are 2 different models proposed. One is just a distribution model. One is a living wage model. However, the similarity in both, as for anyone who's checked it out, is that we are reducing these seats by 9 members, mainly from boards, since the executives are increasing by 1, yet there are no more faculty reps, which reduces 10. However, the actual budget is increasing by $90,000. Myself, alongside other DSU executives, have already questioned at the informal. I apologize, I am bringing up some stuff that was discussed, but I want to make sure everyone is aware of some of the things. We question why this budget was increased by 90,000. Why do we think that the board needs to increase by this much? Because even if we just go into a net neutral model where we don't include, like, we just take up the money that's lost in terms of by reducing the board executive list, move all that money, which is $84,000, into the new executive positions, that brings the council stipend up to $105 per meeting, excluding the bonus for the vice chair, of course. The one discrepancy left is the fact that there's an allocation for $1,200 per year per seat for cell phone bills and transportation costs, which is somewhat inexplicable in my mind, since that should be that was my idea of what a stipend was supposed to cover, just basic low cost stuff like that.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Ryan, you have the floor.
Thanks, Dave. I wasn't able to make the meeting, I guess, on Monday, but just kind of wanted to share my initial thoughts. I kind of generally support the proposal that was put forward. I know one of the concerns that I had in the new governance structure was relying on a large group of counselors to, do a whole lot more work. I feel like this kind of gives more incentive for counselors to, dedicate more time to council. I know, from my DSU or constituency group, and I'm sure other DSUs, the additional time required to meet the new expectations of council would certainly be a detractor. And I feel like this new wage model kind of gives a bit more incentive to have more people involved, which I think only helps the kind of effectiveness of the council in terms of enabling more people to participate. Those are my 2 cents, and thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Liz, you have the floor.
Hi, yeah, this may have already been covered, but I just wanted to clarify it for myself and anybody else. As far as I understand, student fees aren't increasing, at least for this for the stipends. But since the board budget is increasing by quite a lot, does that mean that student fees will be increasing and therefore some of it would be going to the stipends? I just like if somebody could clarify that for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Corbett, you have the direct response.
Sure, thank you. No, the reason being is because this year we had a significant change in our administrative roles. We shrunk down the team of, at the start of the May term, it was 7 people, and we're down to 3. And that's with at least one person, executive director, making costing the society almost $160,000 a year. And so collectively, though, that shrinking of the team and saving up in other areas of administration budget that were duplicates for like lawyers and consulting costs that were both in the board and administrative total, that's been zeroed out. That has saved us about $400,000 a year going forward. So portion of that has been about half of it has been earmarked for increasing some student support staff areas within the SFS. A portion of this would go then is also hoping to go towards the stipend proposal, and we still have some left over for any other changes for this year. And I've worked at that this is within budget for both this year and next year, because the stipend increases up to 1950 is split up over 2 years, or rather 2 board cycles. So if this is passed, this proposal passed, the first increase will be for May 1st to $17.50 an hour, roughly. That's the target. And then a year later for May 1st, 2022 will be up to $19.50 without living wages act. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Corbett. Josh, you have the floor.
Yeah, so I just had more of a question. I was wondering if we were to adopt the living wage model, how would counselors be paid sort of still on a per meeting basis, or like would they log their hours, or just be paid based on the amount of hours that they're supposed to work? Just some clarification on that.
Thank you. Corbett, you may respond.
Sure. So the current model with council is they get what's called a per diem, where they get paid per meeting for attendance. I've recommended for this new model, the living wage model, that it is a stipend based, same setup as the board currently, where you get the amount as listed in in the proposal, under the average expected amount of hours of being around 10 hours a week for counselors, 10 hours every 2 weeks for counselors, and 60 hours a week for executives. And that's currently we have policies around reducing that stipends for being late to meetings regularly, to being missing meetings without regrets, being late on work reports or missing work reports. And that process can also be expanded on because it's in policy, and policy is designed to be changed easily, and it is an iterative process so I don't want to I'll run out of time if I keep going. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Corbett. Alia, you have the floor.
Thank you. So my DSU and I had our meeting last night, and we spent a lot of time talking about this. We came to the conclusion that we are in favor of this motion. I just want to put that out there. While we discussed concerns around accountability, we also thought that this was something that happens at most jobs that aren't paid on a per hourly basis. There are always concerns about if you're doing enough work to be deserving of that pay. So I don't see this really being different as any other job. And we also brought up that as long as this is happening alongside potential COVID emergency funding, so funding that will go straight to students, not just to counselors, we think this is still a good idea, especially since it's not coming at the rise of student fees. But one question we did have is if there's any other way to hold, well, I guess, counselors next term accountable instead of withholding fees or cutting stipend. Is there any other way of not punishing, but sort of like it as an accountability thing? Because one of my fellow DSU execs brought up the concerns around money being used as like a punishment. So yeah, if anyone has any answers, that'd be great.
Thank you. Alvin, you have the floor.
Yeah, we attended the meeting on Monday. I just wanted to clarify, or wanted to recap that engineering's main concern was that the freed up budget intended for the stipend increases wasn't considered for other aspects of SFSS services, such as clubs and grants for clubs. Under applied sciences, we have about 10 clubs and design teams that develop technology and hold career events. So to represent those clubs, since they don't hold a spot on council, our DSU wanted to bring that up. And as a result of the Monday meeting, engineering understands that it actually was considered, and the grant system is actually under budget the past few years. Correct me if I'm wrong, Corbett. So our stance on this is that while we support the spirit of increase for stipends, we would still rather have it go to the larger student body rather than the individual counselors.
Thank you, Alvin. Serena, you have the floor.
Thanks, Zaid. DNA is in favor of the budget proposal that was put forward. I think it's really important to recognize that this is an ethics issue. It's a morality issue of whether you pay people who are doing labor the appropriate amount so that they can live, especially to take away barriers from students with disabilities, from women, from other marginalized groups that are usually paid less on the dollar. So it's really important that we break down those financial barriers to participating in council, so we have more representation from marginalized groups. I can say for myself that it's been really hard finding representative for DNA in the upcoming academic year, starting in May, because of the amount of hours it was going to take, and just the labor that's involved. It's a lot, and I think that we should pay people appropriately. In terms of accountability, I personally think that it's a separate issue. I think even just like the wage, like council has an oversight committee, but obviously it's hard to put labor into that if you're not getting paid for it. So I think those things will come when you give people a living wage. There'll be more incentive for the council oversight committee to be active. So that's just my opinion on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'd just like to start off by addressing one of Aaliyah's concerns about using the wage deductions as punitive measures. Well, at the end of the day, council is the legal body. Council has duties. We don't know what those duties are as of now, which is another problem together. But if you have people who aren't doing their duties yet are still getting paid, you can't really say that they're doing their job, but they deserve that money. The other way to address that is to, hey, okay, if person X isn't doing that job, then we need to get person Y in who will do that job, whether that's by punishing by removing from position, or through deductions in pay. Because remember, even in the current board, like stipend reductions, they're only reductions. Board members, I believe, still get payment even if their work reports aren't submitted, even if, to my knowledge, based on the wording of the policy, they still get a lot of pay. The deductions are only about $100 or $50 for faculty reps out of 800 and 875 and 437.50. So there's still a significant amount of money, even if we just don't have this accountability. If we don't have this accountability measure set up, if we don't have this sort of like even an idea of what councils are supposed to be doing before we start saying they deserve X amount, I think that's putting the cart before the horse. We need to refocus our efforts on what our councils supposed to be doing. How do we keep them accountable? How do we make it so they actually do that job before we say, okay, they're getting paid $35 now, we need to make that up to $120 because we have this general idea that they deserve that regardless of what they're doing. I think that's something that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Kyle. You've reached your time limit here for speaking. Now going to move on to Asab.
Thank you. So I'm going to touch on a couple of different points that I've been hearing, and hopefully I can kind of get them all in order. But I did want to talk to the accountability piece, and I know I mentioned it a bit on Monday, but this has definitely been something that's on our minds, and a huge reason for this, even to do this really difficult transition from the 16-member board of directors into council, was because we recognize historically that there has been a lack of accountability within the student societies and within organizations that tend to have kind of like closed off boards like we had in the past. It's something that I definitely noticed, and it was a big driving factor in this change. And a big thing is that, with the larger council, there is going to be that body that the executives in particular are going to have to report to, and who are going to have to justify their decisions. They're going to have to justify why they chose to, do something or engage in something or say something in a way that I think is going to be more accessible for students to actually participate in than a members meeting. So this is, I think, kind of bringing that rung of democracy up a little bit to make sure that there's actually eyes on the executives and also counselors that have eyes on each other, because council, as well as the legal board of directors, need to hold themselves accountable, and their DSUs, the members of their DSUs and the members of their constituencies are also going to be holding them accountable. So I think in general, that is going to be a big piece. And I think that we're really understating the importance of things like censures and like removal of directors if they aren't fulfilling their duties. That's something that has happened a lot in SFSS history. And I think just because it hasn't happened that recently, that we tend to kind of forget about these things, that, you know, at the end of the day, membership has power to come after people if they aren't fulfilling their duties. So, you know, if you see someone who you think is, you know, unfairly receiving a stipend, or they, you know, aren't doing anything, or you don't like what they're doing, you as a member have a right to come out in opposition to that. Another piece that I'd like to note that has changed a lot is with the release of 5 union excluded staff members, a huge chunk of that responsibility has fallen on the shoulders of the executive. And
thank you, Oslip. Your time is up.
Thanks.
Ryan, you have the floor.
Thanks, Aid. Just kind of wanted to kind of touch on one of the points Serena had made, and kind of in relation to a comment Kyle had made on top. I think in terms of, you know, keeping counselors accountable, I agree with Serena in that it is a bit of a different issue. Whether we decide to pay them, you know, the $17.50 to $19.50 an hour, or we pay them per meeting, you're still paying them money. You still want them to do the work for the money that they're getting. And I don't necessarily think the accountability changes. I don't think you're less accountable, or you should be less accountable just because you're paying them a bit less. So I think, you know, to Serena's point, I think it is valuable to kind of separate those issues. And, you know, I think the Transition Steering Committee has been working on kind of what those requirements for counselors have looked like. And I know Corbett's been involved in that and kind of was considering that in putting this proposal together. So I think there is some reflection of the duties of a counselor in the creation of this proposal, and I think it does reasonably reflect it. And whether or not a counselor actually does those duties is, you know, doesn't actually determine, or isn't impacted by how much they get paid. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, is there any further discussion on this item? I'd like to hear from some more counselors here. Please do list yourselves. There was ample time to, you know, go over this with your DSU, so I'm expecting, you know, more feedback here. Yes, Charlotte.
Yeah, I also just want to offer my support for this. I agree. I don't know who said it previously, but considering the increased sort of amount of work that counselors are expected to do with the new bylaws, I think that having this as an incentive is good. And I agree that accountability should be semi-separate. I think that having to, you know, be a part of a committee as well as attending council meetings is, you know, sort of right there, evident of how much work counselors are going to put in the new year. So yes, I'm in support of this, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, you have the floor.
Yeah, I also discussed this with my DSU, and we agreed that we are in favor of the proposal, although we did discuss a couple of things regarding accountability, and we know it's difficult to sometimes hold people accountable, especially when you can't measure precisely the hours people put in. But we would like to see, for example, work reports a little bit more accurate. And this is probably more in time goal, but maybe hone a little bit the amount of hours, because I know Corbett said that it was very, I mean, it wasn't yet an exact amount, it was just approximated, and we wanted to see in the future just that amount of time we put in honed or specified. I don't know if I make myself clear, but that's something we discussed. You know, having those hours really really accounted for. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Thank you. Alvin, you have the floor.
Yeah, being counselor for 2 years, I've seen council become more and more hardworking, and it's great to see the board members coming to our meetings. So I wanted to put my faith in the transition steering committee that they and the future board to train the future counselors to really hone in and understand how much effort we should put in as counselors, and we don't go back to the days of buying just for pizza parties, right? So it's good to see, as long as we all understand our roles and accountability is there. It's a great trend so far.
Thank you. Oh. All right, thank you. Next up on the list, we have Matt.
Hi, I just kind of wanted to add, you know, that I really believe that I'm a strong advocate for ensuring that folks are paid and compensated properly for their work, especially for those on council. I feel like all the council members have an understanding, you know, if there's a reason why you chose to represent your DSU, and I believe that, you know, you're here to act in good faith and like show that support. And I feel like there's a lot of good work that goes unrecognized by council members, and, you know, not even regardless of me being on exec, but I've seen the work that's been ongoing, and, you know, everyone commits to sitting here for being on Zoom and doing your work in your own DSUs and really showing that advocacy and support because you believe that, you know, your DSU deserves to be heard and the things that you want to push forward to support a better community for students. And I feel like, you know, we need to recognize living wage, and especially during COVID, we've seen a lot of precarious situations that students have been in. So any way that we can support to ensure that council members and students are getting proper compensation for the work that they're doing that usually goes unrecognized, I feel like, you know, we need to stop making people feel bad about deserving more for the work that they do, especially BIPOC folks, especially people, you know, who deserve to be compensated more for the work that we do. And we can't be, you know, making sure, not in terms of like not holding people accountable, but just making sure that we put our faith that people are here to do good work and continue to do that. So I'm in favor of this, and I hope that moving forward this supports council in a better way, and that this can go towards like your living and support you in ways that you need, because that is deserved and your work isn't going unrecognized.
Thank you. Lauren, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to offer the FNSA's support on this motion as well. And I want to echo Serena and Matt's statements that many students are overworked, especially students who become involved with student politics. And these people deserve, especially students from marginalized communities, deserve to be properly compensated for the work and commitment they put into these positions.
Thank you. Kylie, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to share the French Student Union's thoughts. We are definitely in support of this motion. We did have a couple of concerns, but they have all been brought up, and everything makes sense and we're okay with everything. Especially during COVID time. I know, for example, restaurants just shut down again, and I know a lot of university students, myself included, work at restaurants. So I think that we all agree from my union that that this increase is well deserved. And to echo what has been mentioned by other people, especially for like BIPOC people and members, it's really important that we have this payment and we support this.
Thank you. Clara, you have the floor.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, so the archaeology DSU has talked about this. We definitely support it. I'm not going to echo what you know, Matthew and Serena were saying about why it's important. I think we all generally recognize why we need to be paying people a living wage. There are a lot of concerns about accountability. But I did kind of want to point out, some people have been kind of talking in the Discord about getting that all sorted out before we vote, but this is going to be an ongoing process, you know, like we have a lot of mechanisms in place already that are important, but this is going to be always an ongoing conversation. It's always going to have to like adapt as our roles adapt. So I don't think there is like a point that we're going to get to, you know what I mean? Like, I think that we have some things in place already, and it's going to, that discussion is going to continue. And yeah, that's all I have to say. We support it. Thanks.
Thank you. Gwen, you have the floor.
Hi, so I just want to see that chemistry is all for the appropriate compensation of counselors. The main concern is also like other DSUs, which is accountability, and they worry if a robust accountability framework will be developed before the next fiscal year. So this is an idea that I brought up in the meeting on Monday, which is like a trial period. And Corbett mentioned that the only way that we can implement an increase is through bursary, I believe. So I was wondering if this is something that is currently being looked into as an option, or are we just going to proceed with the proposal as stated? Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that my DSU is in full support of this decision, and we're aware that holding accountability is a concern. And it's difficult to measure efforts, but several of my executive members brought up some interesting suggestions for how to solve that. And one said that maybe we could rotate council participation aside from reporting back to your DSU at our general meetings, but also in terms of, for example, taking initiatives to draft support letters, contributing to promoting events like the AGM promo video that we had earlier. And there's a portion of counselors that contributed to that too. So for future events that they could always take turns contributing and participating. And there's a lot of opportunities out there for counselors to get involved and show that they aren't free riding. And another suggestion was related to measuring efforts. And someone said that we could possibly make is exit reports at the end of the term or have quarterly summaries. And this can possibly create a better incentive for counselors to put in the effort. But these are just some suggestions that we came up with at the top of our heads. But my point is there's always a solution to free riding. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Just moving down the list here. Serena, you have the floor.
I'll actually just take that back, and I'll probably just list again at the end of the discussion, but I think Corbett had a direct response.
Right, thank you. Corbett, you have your direct response.
Thanks. Just clarifying, there was a question asked to me about the proposal and an idea of a bursary changes and things like that. Just want to make sure I fully heard it.
Sandra, could you repeat that question regarding the bursaries?
I think it's
that wasn't my question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Gwen?
Yeah. So it was last meeting on Monday. I was asking if there's any way you can implement an increase in stipend during the year instead of at the beginning of the year. So you said that it could be the only way it could be done is through bursary, I think. So I was wondering if this is an option that it's currently being looked into, or we're just going to proceed with whatever is stated in the proposal.
Okay, so yeah, the process for stipend increases or changes, it follows whatever is on a proposal that is discussed, and then there's a comment period process and consultation like it is now with council, students, and board, and then the faculty of my FASC, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee, provides a recommendation for both council and board for them to, as part of a motion of support or not for the proposal. So that's the process we are on now. In the future, we can explore things like increase different bursary options. The SFSS right now, as part of the emergency COVID-19 funding, emergency funding support, are looking at creating our own bursary system, so we don't have to rely on SFU for everything, because they have certain restrictions that I think are against the spirit of the purpose of this funding and future bursaries. So it's something to work on throughout the year, and we can explore that as council collectively.
Thank you, Corbett. Kyle, you have the floor.
All right, so I just want to go into one key points of assumption that this report goes into, and that's about the hours working on a biweekly basis. This is based on past information. Corbett assumes that it will go into 10 hours for representatives and 60 hours for executives. So I was curious, and board reports are all public. So I did a little research, and I found that barely any time were board executives ever hitting the 60 hours per week. Some of the faculty reps barely hit 5. And I know we discussed this on Monday. I do want to bring it up again, so I think it's a good point. But these numbers are what apparently were used to generate the 60 hours. How can, if those numbers aren't actually true and that's not going forward, how can we say that we are paying a living wage of like 120? So for reps, just to break the break down, $120 per biweekly basis means that you're working at 10 hours, means that you're getting paid $12 per hour or whatnot. So I'm just not sure about the numbers of how you can justify that.
Thank you, Kyle. Also, do you have a direct response?
Yes, and this is something that I also brought up on Monday with regards to the work reports. Yeah, so a couple of things with regard to work reports. Work reports were never really made to be a timesheet necessarily. Due to the nature, I think, of the work that board members take on, it also probably wouldn't work really well to use those as timesheets, and they often are not correct to the minute for a number of reasons. The first of which being that, we oftentimes fill out work reports due to what we see in our Google calendars. For instance, I put all of my meetings in my SFSS Google Calendar. For a meeting that, maybe was 2.5 hours, I may accidentally put down 3 hours or even put down 2 hours simply because, you're filling in your work report and that's like the time that you have. And I don't think anyone on the board is, taking a timesheet or checking their clock to see what time the meeting ended. And it was never understood either to be as necessarily a timesheet thing. It is to communicate with members and with council the work that we're up to. And another thing that I'd like to note is that, at least for me, and I can speak to my own experience, it's a very conservative estimate of some of the things that I do, because a lot of the times, we don't work a 9 to 5. A lot of the times, some of the work ends up being quite scattered. It might be 15 minutes responding to email here, another 15 minutes responding to an email there. So altogether, a lot of it does end up being estimates. A lot of it does end up being preparation for meeting and research and, all these other little things that do tend to add up to a lot of time in the long run. So to say, I think that board members are not fulfilling their full hours based off of, if I see a huge discrepancy, like somebody is attending 2 meetings and has one project and, is doing 5 hours based on the work report, yeah, that would raise some serious red flags for me. But I hope that you can recognize that there is a margin of error there. That is kind of where I'm at with regard to work reports. I think another big piece that should be looked at is if board members are fulfilling their duties based on what is required of them in the bylaws and in the policies, and for more check-ins to be happening at council and for communication to happen.
All right, thank you, Asab. Let me just check how much we're at for time here. All right, it looks like we've exhausted discussion on this item here based on the 40 minutes that we generally allocate. I'd like to ask if people would like to move to extend the discussion on this item, or whether we would like to leave it here or possibly pass a motion. Serena, is the list regarding what I just said here?
Yeah, so it was just about, since we've had this discussion, maybe to pass a motion that I could write up quick in the chat regarding supporting this living wage model, especially since we are on a bit of a time crunch. It has to happen pretty soon. So I think it would be good to have council support in a motion.
All right, thank you. Corbett, you had a response?
Okay, so I understand that council can put a motion to support, but also according to the policy process, they're also supposed to receive a recommendation or not from FASC first for a formal recommendation, like a formal motion to recommend. However, I understand that with this going into April, for quorum issues might be quorum might be an issue. I'm not going to recommend one way or the other for you because it's your body, but just want to make sure that you know what your options are.
Thank you, Corbett. All right, I think so. If it's agreeable, would we like to extend discussion on this? If anybody would like to, or we can go with a motion. I can just draft one up quickly here. Yes, Kyle.
Sorry, I was going to move to extend the discussion, but also, why are we trying to pass a motion? The FSSA committee meeting with the student body hasn't even occurred yet. It occurs on April 6th, next Tuesday. Council saying whether we'd like it or not when the student body hasn't been able to speak on it is disingenuous when we're representatives of the student body. Let that meeting go forward. We can look at the meeting during April to pass a motion or whether we support or not. I don't. Trying to push the motion in the last 5 minutes of council when we've only had one meeting, and as it's in the chat, this is only a discussion. We weren't intending to have a motion on this anyways. Trying to push that is disingenuous and not represent and not the duties of a representative body. You're not representing the students when they haven't even had a chance to speak on it. I don't think that's the right idea.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Again, just looking at our time here, I would like to give a little bit of an update on this item from my end, if it's agreeable with everyone. And seeing that if nobody here is going to amend an agenda, we will probably just end this at 6 and we can continue this discussion at our next meeting. If anybody objects to just letting me extend the speaking time a little bit to just give my 2 cents here, please let me know in the chat here or speak out. But basically, I just like to voice my thoughts. On Monday's meeting, I kind of brought up that issue with the current work reports and deduction system and the issues that we have with accountability of executives. There's a history of that, and I mean, the work reports that we're seeing this year aren't perfect. But since then, I did meet with Gabe to review the standing orders that we're looking at adopting for next year's oversight committee, which included empowering the oversight committee to enact stipend reductions for executives, among other abilities. There would be a chance to appeal for executives who do have their stipends reduced for a few reasons. Thinking maybe, well, we are coming to the end of this meeting here. I can send out a draft of the current standing orders that we looked at to get some thoughts from counselors on the system. But basically, we're looking at empowering the oversight committee to be able to vote and reduce stipends for executives based on work reports or any other ways that we can see whether their duties are being carried out in the way that we elected them to. There was also just the other item of looking at how we can use this oversight committee to keep counselors. Sorry, I'm running a mouth is kind of dry here, but also keeping counselors accountable, whether that is in the same way with some kind of reduced stipend with them attending meetings or not. There's some discussion to be had on that, which I will post some thoughts on that in our Discord for us to have discussion at, and hopefully we can look at the standing orders for this and have it adopted before the next board begins, which then means we will have some form of accountability system with these raises. So with that being said, it looks like we are 2 minutes. Yes, Serena?
I just wanted to ask if we could perhaps extend the meeting by a bit so then we could get to the list and my direct response. And also just to address what Kyle had said, it's not disingenuous, sorry. It's just that I'm worried that council usually doesn't have enough quorum during final season. And this is something that has to happen in time for May for the changes to occur. So I think it would be good to have council pass a motion at this meeting to ensure that we have quorum and that our stance is reflected correctly, like given what's been talked about in discussion today. And also that we represent our own DSUs and constituency groups as well. And that's what I've heard from most people in this meeting is that they support it. So I think it would be representative of each person's constituency group and the DSUs they're representing.
All right, thank you, Serena. Just looking at our timeline for our next council meeting, we do have one planned for the 17th and then of this month, and then, or no, not the 17th, sorry, looking at March, 14th of April, and then the 28th. If Corbett could please respond here. When is the last board meeting where you guys will be approving this model for the next board?
The last scheduled board meeting is April 23rd, but as always, we can hold one on a following Friday instead of a dev session. But again, as the term gets further in, quorum always becomes a challenge, especially with finals. So my goal is to have everything for the 23rd.
All right, thank you. Regarding our own quorum, I don't believe we've actually ever missed quorum since this entire year. So I don't see that as an issue. We can end the meeting or we can extend it. It's entirely up to you guys. Something I'd like to note is that we are able to call more council meetings. So we can call a special meeting to really discuss this topic more if you guys think there's more discussion that needs to be had, and then pass a motion. It's really up to you guys. We do have the 7th and 21st. The 14th will come before the next board meeting. But again, it's really up to the will of the body here. If you guys would like to extend the meeting, then I would ask that you do please move for that right now. Otherwise, I will end this meeting at 6 o'clock. Serena?
I'd like to move to extend the meeting by, let's say, until 6:30 to be safe. If there is any further discussion, and I will put forward a motion as well.
All right. Sorry, my mouth is really dry right now. All right, would anyone like to second this?
Economic second.
All right, thank you. Going to seek unanimous consent for extending the meeting to 6:30. Seeking unanimous consent, if you'd like to object, please do so now. All right, seeing no objections, this motion carries. We are extending our meeting time now till 6:30. Would anyone like to move to extend the discussion on this specific item? Yes, Asab.
Sorry, I just have a habit of looking at the chat during a vote, and there were 2 objections, one from Bradley and one from Adrian, I believe.
Oh, in the chat?
No, like when they unmuted their mics, and I think raised a hand as well.
Oh, they did. Okay, sorry. Didn't see that. All right. Then we will be moving to vote. Sorry, guys. We honestly haven't had anybody object to the unanimous consent, so wasn't sure. Next time, though, I'd like you guys to just speak out, just verbally, so that it makes it clear for me. We will then move into voting procedure on this. To extend the meeting. It's going to take some time if we do it by roll call, so.
Zaid, I don't think you necessarily need to do it by roll call. Just ask the people who are voting against to unmute their mic.
Yeah, I mean, I could do poll quickly as well. So that was what I was going to suggest. But yeah, we can do it by unmuting mics. I'll just go through here. All right, so we're going to move to vote on this. If you are in favor of extending the meeting to 6:30, please unmute your mic now.
Sorry, is it in favor that I mute the mic now?
Yes, if you are in favor of this move of Serena's motion to extend the meeting to 6:30, please unmute your microphone now. Also, Helen, can you please just count these as well, just to make sure I get the right number? All right, thank you. Please mute yourselves. I can hear my echo there. All right, all those against, please unmute your microphones now.
I'd like to raise a point of order.
It's also
So according to our policies, the votes do have to be noted as well if they aren't unanimous, like the folks who voted in or voted against this is the procedure.
okay.
Sorry, I know this just me.
Sorry, my question is that in the board policies or is that in council's policies, since we haven't been following that for part of the semester, but we did start, I believe, since December. I can see that there is a clear majority against, but if we do feel that we need to note it in our minutes here, I will just ask everyone to do it again, and I will screenshot those that have it unmuted and send it to the admin assistant.
I think Gabe is better equipped to answer that question than me.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
So also stated that in our policy, it requires folks to. Sorry about that. So also stated that in our policies here, it's required that folks have their votes publicized or noted in the minutes for each person.
Yeah, so I'm actually, Asab, I think it's actually on the contrary. That was a board resolution, not a council resolution. So I don't believe this entire year that council votes have actually been recorded the way they are at board meetings. So I believe the way that it was currently conducted was correct.
All right, thank you. Once again, please, everyone who's not in favor of this, please unmute your microphones now. All right, there is a clear majority here. It's kind of hard for me to count, but I can already see that there's more than 11 people who voted in favor. So this motion does fail. Moving on, as it does seem like we are losing people here as well. I think we are going to just have to move to adjourn here. If it's acceptable with everyone, I'm going to postpone the rest of our discussion items to our next meeting. I will, however, be asking in our chat whether we want to be hosting an extra meeting in this coming month and when. So please do stay tuned for that. So seeing no objections to postponing the discussion items. We are out of time here. We'll move on to announcements. As it says here, it's to be decided. We currently are for the 14th, but again, I will be asking you guys how we want to be conducting this during final season. We're now on to item 11.1, be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 6:08 p.m. Yes, Wei Chun.
Yeah, I just want the discussion on the orientation survey, council orientation survey, that's kind of time sensitive because we need the feedback to decide on like the training and transitioning of counselors. So if you can't make it this meeting, but I would like to just bring that attention to the counselors and maybe distribute that to collect responses because we can't wait 2 weeks to collect responses.
Right, yeah, that is, I believe that is an item that does need to be addressed. I think the best might be to use our Discord here. There has been more activity, so you can try and communicate with counselors there, send it through email. We can try and check in and make sure everyone does give their feedback. Again, seeing with how our discussion went today, there's a possibility that we may hold a meeting next week. I will poll everyone and see whether that's what council wants to decide. Again, now we are at the end of our meeting time. Back to 11.1. Be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 6:09 p.m. Would anyone like to move this motion?
MVBSU moves.
MVBSU moves. Would anyone like to second?
Soka seconds.
Soka seconds. Going to seek unanimous consent on this. So once again, seek unanimous consent. If you'd like to dissent, please unmute your microphone now. All right, seeing no objections, this meeting has now been adjourned. I'm going to